Yeah, let's wake things up. Woohoo! In the chat, there was a little discussion. Apparently, I guess on a comment that you made was that the OPSIG, there is lots of operators in the NMRA. It's just, if you get one area that maybe doesn't have a lot of operations guys, you can't paint the NMRA as non-operators because it just doesn't work that way. There's lots of operations guys throughout the NMRA. It's just in certain pockets, there's more guys that are operators and builders, and that's just the way it goes in the NMRA. So, if you're into operations, hey, start a group. You'd be surprised at how fast you might be able to put a whole group together.
Hey, Clark, I think this is Phil. I think we need Bob, I think left. But one of the things I think I got from him a real distinction between train running and operations. And I think that's really important. His comment was, I think, around saying if all you want to do is run the train around the Christmas tree, and you're not going to build and you're not going to operate, there may not be a lot of value for you. But I think you're absolutely right. I think clearly there's kind of the two sides of the NMRA, which is what I'll call the building side, and building lots of things from layouts to everything else. And then there's the operations side, which, I think those are two facets that currently are very much part. And the OPSIG, even though it's not a formal part of the NMRA as a kind of organization, still, I know at least where we are, generally operates in coordination because you get the advantage of the NMRA insurance. That's been one of the things that we've done, is extended that over. The NMRA has extended that to the OPSIG. When the OPSIG has events, they're covered under the NMRA. They're covered as NMRA events, so the insurance covers them. So
yeah, exactly, and that's the same reason a lot of the RPM meets are balancing with the NMRA guys too, because for that insurance.
Exactly, and I think that's the whole thing. Is that it's very interesting to think about that. We are a hobby of clicks.
Yep.
In terms of, you're a narrow gauge modeler, or you're a standard gauge modeler, or you're a modern modeler versus a transition modeler, and then of course we've got all the different railroads. So there's a lot of opportunities to get with folks that are kind of like-minded. But I think one of the things that I think the NMRA gives you is that exposure to a much broader group of people. And when you get in those smaller groups, especially from a modeling perspective, things tend to get limited in terms of what the knowledge base is. So I think it's a good thought process, whether you're in the OPSIG or a club or any other group. Anyway, enough said. Back to you.
No, it's the umbrella. No, I totally agree. Yep. So anyway, all right. As our sort of usual custom is there anybody here brand new that maybe would like to say hello, introduce themselves? I don't really see anybody brand new. I see Mr. Schilling is with us. Let's see who else is with us. Paul, don't talk to him because he'll send you a new paper model. Hi, Paul. And our friend John Garrity from Down Under is with us. Let's see who else is.
Clark, if John is there and talking, we had on my build last week, he wasn't able to be on, I don't think.
Oh yeah, he could maybe come on. And
if John, if you're there and you'd like to talk a little bit about, I was not able to cover. I decided I wasn't going to be able to cover it adequately. So if you're here, I'll go find the slides and share them again, and you can talk real quickly about what you showed in the my build.
Well, maybe if you find those slides,
I'll find the slides and we'll come back to it.
If he's around, okay. Yeah, we can.
I'm unmuted.
Oh, so. There's John. Okay, there's John. So I'll let you two guys work on that and present that.
And Clark, in the meantime, while those two guys are doing that, I'd like to know, one of the comments that was made tonight that caught my ear was the gentleman noted that he was working together with 2 or 3 other folks going down their MMR path to pick up their MMR sticker. I'd like to know if there's a lot of other folks that do that simultaneously? And if they do, are they working on the same sticker at the same time? In other words, are they doing just structures or just cars or just, author, what category?
Well, I can tell you I'm a product of that, along with Mr. Shergold. I don't know if Gary's still on, and another fella named who has unfortunately since passed away. The three of us seemed to be working on our MMR, and we were all close. And at the convention, we all three of us got our awards. So that was, and we never, I mean, we talked to each other, especially Bob and I, because we were pretty close friends. But we were always working. I can't say we ever worked on the same sort of master car builder or master scenery at the same time, which was good because when I came to cars and I was working on cars, Bob had already got his, and I said to him, well, how did you do your write-up? Like what was the trick? What was the, so
Right.
that was really a good way to share back and forth. And then he would say the same thing. Well, what did you do for structures? Blah, blah, blah. And but yeah, because the three of us, Bob was 222, I'm 225, and I think Gary is 224. Gary, are you there?
I'm here.
Yeah. Are you 224?
No,
What are you?
3. You had to ask, didn't you? I know that the numbers add up to 15.
All right. And oh no, so it wasn't, and I apologize, it wasn't you, it was the fella out in more towards Windsor. Oh, I'll have to get his name now. It escapes me. But anyway, we all worked, we all talked about things as it came along.
Well, okay, so you hit one of the things that came to my mind is it better if you're working with 2 or 3 folks together going down that path for you to work on different type of stickers or certificates would you say?
I don't know if there's an advantage or a disadvantage, Chris. I really don't.
Okay.
I think as long as you're talking and working on it, and then in our case, I know we had Pete Moffat at the time, who was the National Achievement Program Director, who lived in our area, so he could give us a lot of guidance. And Pete was, I won't say he was tough, but he was very fair, and you had to earn it. It wasn't given to you. So that was a big bonus, as well as having somebody at that level in the area. But it certainly helps if you got 2 or 3 guys maybe working towards the same goal.
Okay, yeah, it might be something that we kind of just tuck in the back of our minds and throw out there to people when they mention the MMR, that they're thinking about going for it.
Yeah.
How much did you find working with the other folks that tended to spur you on?
Oh yeah,
motivate
because
you.
you get into a lull, right? You go
Right.
and guys will say, hey, no, come on, get your 5th car done or whatever. I'm almost done my 8th structure or whatever. So that did transfer into, rather than sit on your duff, to get moving a little bit.
Okay.
Or if, and a lot of it is a roadblock. Oh, gee, I don't know how to do something. And then you say, I'm kind of stuck on this, and I haven't really moved forward in the last week or 2 weeks because I'm stuck on this. Oh, well, here's the answer,
Uh-huh.
and that really helped. I know I have mentored 2 or 3 groups when asked, and Bob, as I said, Bob, who was on earlier, asked me when he was living in California to help him. And we've talked back and forth several times, or when I've been out there, I've sat down with him and we've worked on stuff. So if you can get somebody to hopefully a little bit more local, but with Zoom, it's not too bad, that can mentor you and has gone through the process, it makes it a lot easier.
Okay, thanks.
Clark, were you thinking of Don Eastman?
Yes,
Yeah,
that's exactly what I was thinking of.
yeah. Don was my mentor, and so
Yeah.
was Ed Hayden.
Yeah, Ed, yeah,
Yeah, they're both MMRs.
Yeah.
And I know that when I started the process, the two of them were there for me
yeah,
and very helpful. Basically, when I got started, and I found I went through the three the volunteers, like the author, the official, and the other one. That's where I started.
yeah, the volunteer.
Yeah, volunteer. And then from there, it just grew into the different, you build a layout, it gets judged, you do your electrical, etc. And the two of them just kept at me, and
Yeah.
I,
And I
I
think-
successfully got through it.
And I think Gary, and you'll probably, and Martin too, when you, and Jim, if you're still on, as you're building your layout, if you keep the AP program in mind, you really don't go, you really can't go wrong as far as getting your points. You're going to get your points and you're going to build a better layout.
I wish I'd done that. No, because I built my layout without the AP in mind at all.
Right. Right.
Zero.
Yeah.
I did things in a different order than most people. My first certificate was cars,
Right.
strangely enough. Followed by author.
Yeah.
Followed by motive power. So, I was doing things completely backwards from what I think the average, if you go look in the back of the NMR magazine and see the new MMRs, and you see what they did and the order they got them, they don't do it in that order generally.
Yeah.
It's building the layout, and it's, you get all the layout stuff and maybe the dispatcher along the way.
Yeah.
You get electrical, civil, scenery, and maybe volunteer and some other things along the way. And they hold the construction, the model building to last.
Yeah. Actually, see, now I was like you. When I first got married, I didn't have a lot of money. We didn't have a house. So what did I do? I had a little work area and I built structures.
Yeah.
And then I went on to cars.
Yeah.
And then when we had, we were able to rent a townhouse and stuff, I started a layout and and it was modular. I got my basically my track work stuff and sort of the layout part of it. And all the way through that, I'm working on the association thing. So but you tailor it to your situation.
Right.
And if you haven't got space, you can certainly build cars and structures. So
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. And I took 10 years off from even working on the AP program at all.
Yeah.
So I was the contest chairman for the region. So
Right.
I just didn't bother. And the layout completion of it, everything stalled. It just completely came to a stop. And I got out from underneath that albatross of a job. And I finished my layout in about 8 weeks and got scenery and dispatcher done. And I was done. That was it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just a matter of sitting. It just had to sit down and write up all the paperwork for dispatcher. I had everything else done.
And you already had gone through the paperwork stuff, even though it's slightly different, but at least you knew sort of what was expected.
I actually sat down with one of the MMRs on dispatcher and said, explain this to me. This is another language.
Yeah,
This is another planet. What the heck does that mean? And he
Yeah.
showed me, I was like, well, why did they just say that?
yeah,
I mean, that's stupid. I mean, I could rewrite that into a lot simpler language
yeah,
with a
The
couple.
old saying is kiss.
yeah,
Yeah, and with one diagram or a cartoon, and it's like, oh, that's what you want.
yeah,
How did you tell me that?
yeah.
I would have been
exactly.
done I would have been done 2 years earlier. But
Yeah.
you know, so I actually twisted his arm and said, since you had to come over here and explain that to me, I can't be alone. Now you have to do a clinic on just what you just did teaching me.
Right.
Because I'm sure when you go to the next regional convention, you're going to have 20 to 30 people in the room who are going to be in the same spot. You know,
Yeah.
yeah, you accrue your hours. That's easy.
Yeah.
That other stuff, what the heck does that mean?
Yeah,
Nobody teaches you that.
yeah.
Well,
Well, that's true too. It's the same, the wiring, like,
yeah,
I was showing, actually, Pete Moff, and I said, oh, and he goes, what are you doing? He says, just show basic wiring. You don't have to do all these fancy. He says, we just want to know that you know what the hell you're talking about. You know, so it's like,
Right.
oh, okay. So after that, it was, fairly simple, but
so I could show them the wiring I did for my entire house in Pennsylvania.
yeah,
And say, yeah, I can wire a house. That's easy.
yeah.
Uh,
But
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, no, that's so yeah, no, Gary, I think you're right too. It's nice when people will mentor and help you move forward, just like Martin and I had that help too. So
Yeah, and you know,
kinda lucky.
as Clark pointed out, we all sign on the back of each category and the final one that we're willing to help.
Yep,
And, you know, don't be afraid to ask for help.
yep.
And you'll probably get it.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure.
And, you know,
Yeah.
the probability is pretty high. But I wouldn't say it's 100%, but it's
Yeah.
it's up there.
Yeah.
But you know, and case in point, you know, I'm in between segments on it, but we're running workshops on AP cars in my division.
Right.
So 2 weeks ago, we spent Saturday morning over at the Knights of Columbus Hall. Everybody bring your stuff, bring your tools, bring your project, bring whatever it is you're going to bring. Have a donut, and let's everybody sit around and build stuff and
Yeah.
talk about it.
Yeah.
You know, no program, no slides, no presentation. What are you doing? What are you building? What's the problem? What's the idea? Where are you going?
Let's have a discussion. Yep.
Yeah, let's have some fun while we're at it.
And a lot of times, Rick Hunter did some of those show and tells in his division. Now he did it with his products and stuff just because it was handy. But those simple clinics, and I don't even call them clinics because
Yeah.
they're not formulated, but those simple get-togethers
Right.
are more important half the time than having an event.
Yeah, I liken it to a quilting session.
Yeah.
So we're going to do it again in 2-3 weeks. And then I was going to do it again with cars in August, but I got somebody who was interested and said, well, what about structures? Could I do something with the bridge? Because structures, you got to have a bridge.
Yeah.
One of the 12 has to be a bridge.
Yeah.
Like, okay, that's a required element within it. It's like, and he wanted to show up and teach how to do a bridge.
Yeah.
And he has done like 3 or 4 different types of bridges. And like, well, yeah, go ahead. You want to do it? We'll change I can do less. You can do something. And we'll plug him into my slot. And he's going to show up, teach how to build a bridge, provide a bill of materials, bring all your stuff. I'll bring a storage tub or 2 of supplies.
Yeah.
And we'll have a bridge building party.
Yeah, exactly. John, are you ready? And Phil, are you ready?
I'm
I
ready.
can run John, are you there?
Yep.
There you go.
Do you have a camera? If you want to, you can turn your camera on.
I'm not sure whether you're going to be like seeing my kind of fearful visage on.
Oh,
Hang
Can't
on.
be worse than Clark.
Can't be worse than us.
yeah, yeah,
Let's see. Let's see how it goes. Okay. Okay, this is me standing beside the actual incline. For anyone who's aware of the Australian modelling scene, that's Professor Kleisler over the back. Okay, some points to look at this layout. This wall here.
Hey, John, can I get you just real quickly, pull your screen down if you're on a laptop,
Yep.
pull your screen forward a little bit. Yeah, or if you've got a box around you that's about 6 or 8 inches high, put your laptop on the box and that lets you tilt the screen forward.
Okay, hang on. I can't see my screen at present.
Okay.
So
We can
which
see
way?
you.
Okay.
We see you there. We see you really good.
Okay. Hi.
Can you see it now? Your screen?
I can see what you've got up. I
Good,
can't
good.
see
That's all
me.
you need to. Go for it.
Okay, well, that's me standing beside the layout. I'm now considerably slimmer than I was then. Okay, for the rest of the slides, we're going to take a trip. We're going to start at the right on mine 2. And we're going to go underground briefly. We're going to come back out on mine 2. We're going to swap locos at mine 1. We're going to run around Broker's Feed onto Broker's Nose 2, where we pass the loco shed and the waterfall. Broker's Nose 1 will be the landslide. We will have a shot of the trestle. And we're going to finish up, well, we're going to the water tank. At the water tank, we cut the steam loco off and battery electric loco takes over. The battery electric loco is a small battery electric. It takes over on the loaded train, takes it up onto the dead end, and then pushes it back to the start of the incline. Okay, at this stage of the game, top left photo is Big Bat. This is a bogie battery electric locomotive. It's built on the chassis of a Barkman 45 tonner. It's O-scale narrow gauge 1/43 scale on 16.5 mil tracks. So it goes underground down the portal between the 2 buildings, comes back out and finishes up on mine 2. It will cut off the trainer loaded skips, and the little green locomotive on the top right will take over on the train. That train then runs around Broker's Nose, which is the start of it, bottom left. Bottom right, we're coming up on the waterfall and the start of the loco shed. The little green loco is built on a Barkman Percy, believe it or not. And no, I didn't build it. I'm not that clever. I did do the Big Bat locomotive. So I'll claim that one as all my own work.
Is this
Most of-
ON30?
Yeah, it's 016.5. So we're representing 2 foot gauge in 1/43 scale.
Okay, thank you.
Right. The trick is with 016.5, it allows you to use all the HO mechs on 16.5 mil HO track very, very easily. If I was running true scale 1/43 scale in for 2 foot gauge, I should be using 14 mil gauge track. That's just too damned hard. You've got to build your own mechanism and build your own wagons and build your own track. There's too many layers of difficulty. We had enough problems getting the incline itself to work rather than worrying about 2.5 mil on track gauge. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, this is at the loco shed. Burra, the little green loco, is passing the Kraus. Now, the Kraus is a Magic Trains Krauss that's no longer available. It was made in 145 scale by Fleischmann. So we're applying a little bit of rubber scaling here. We're using 145 scale as a 143rd scale locomotive. It looks very, very close to the loco second larger Krauss that Corrimal actually had. The loco shed was scratch built by my construction partner. It was the first structure he actually built out of plastic. So yes, we had some discussions on how to build it, and he kind of said, yeah, I think I know how to do this. He was a fabricator welder on real locomotives, so, and he's a model engineer as well. So the thing's built like a brick outhouse. Top right is Burra passing through the trees, heading around Broker's Nose. Bottom left, we've gone around Broker's Nose and we're heading into the landslide area. The tramway tracks were about 400 feet up the side of the mountain, and they ran slightly downhill from the mine to the top of the incline. In the real world, a 6-ton locomotive would be towing about 30 odd skips with a ton of coal behind on a falling grade to stop, and the loco didn't have steam brakes or Westinghouse. So the only brakes on that locomotive was a big lever and the weight of the fireman pushing down on the lever. And yes, I've actually fired that locomotive, so I know what it takes to stop it. With 30 odd wagons behind it, yes, it was possible that the train was going to be overrun by the wagon coming through behind. So every 8th axle had a sprag shoved through the spokes, which locked up the axle. And a sprag is simply a piece of 2x2 timber or something similar with a pointy end shoved through the spokes. When the wheel rotates around, it locks it up against the frame of the wagon and locks up the axle. So there was no such thing as round wheels on this layout. By the time the wagons had done a couple of trips backwards and forwards between the mine and the incline top, there would have been some interesting wheel patterns. Okay, we're onto the Trestle Bridge in the bottom right. So we're approaching the end of the journey for the steam train, or the steam locomotive. Next slide, please. Okay, next top left is shortly after crossing the trestle, Burra cuts off. The train is actually, we're running on level, so at least our wagons aren't going to roll away. And we swap Burra for the little orange battery electric locomotive. That's a unpowered Grant Line kit powered by an underground Ernie chassis by Bachmann. Originally, we had 44-tonner power bogies under them, the Bachmann 44-tonner single end units. They were about 10 years old when we started to get hold of them, and the quality was variable. We were able to source about 5 or 6 underground Ernies from the US shortly after, UK, shortly after Bachmann stopped making them. So we replaced the rather dodgy 44-tonner chassis with the underground Ernie chassis. Under the battery box is a whole lot of lead. So from top left, we've come, let's go across to top right. The train would come, actually, there's 2 identical shots there. I didn't realise, almost identical. The train, hang on, I've lost my train of thought. It's been derailed. Oh well. top right. Train comes in on the right-hand track, goes up into a dead end and pushes back to the start of the incline. The start of the incline is actually under the no way sign. That's where the powered incline takes over. Bottom right is coming on to just out of shot to the right is the turnout that takes you up into the dead end, and the skips on the front track are parked leading into the incline. Is there another slide? I think that might be it.
That is it. I'll stop sharing.
Okay,
Cool, thanks.
Hey,
That was great.
there I am.
Yeah, you look pretty good too.
Okay. That's me done. I'll go back to lurking. Any questions?
That looked like quite an incline you had there at the beginning. What grade
Yeah,
is that?
1 in 4, 25%.
Wow.
And yes, we run loaded coal wagons down it, and we run loaded coal wagons up it.
One
Empty
more
coal
back.
wagons up it. And we cheat.
So how much actual physical variation, in centimeters or whatever is across the layout?
The layout's 23 foot one way and 19 foot the other.
I'm thinking more vertical. How much vertical dimension do you have? How many centimeters of rise from the lowest point to the highest point in the layout?
Okay, let me go get a slide.
Cool. Then I'll stop sharing and let you share. Cool.
Okay. Let me go to there. This is actually at the mine. I'm going to have to kind of skip around.
It's okay.
This is at the mine, one of the other entrances.
You actually have to start sharing.
Oh, hang on.
There's a green button at the bottom.
Here's
And when you
green.
click, there's a little green share button at the bottom. Click on
thought-
that. And that'll bring up a bunch of pictures. The upper left picture is actually sharing your screen. So if you share that, we see what you see, and it's the easiest way to share.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay,
Excellent,
go on.
excellent.
Let me go
I
back
think
to
we're
the
seeing
mine.
your screen. We're seeing three men on the screen.
Okay.
There you go. Yep.
I've skipped back. This is the mine entrance with 2 of the placeholder buildings. These buildings have now been replaced by the structures. The modeling structure here is interesting underneath. We'll cover that another time. This is the men and materials portal. The building on the left is the lamp house building. Coal mines, you got issued with your battery and lamp before you went underground. You turned your battery and lamp in when you came back to the top. And that way they realized that you're on top and not underground. That dates back to probably the 17th century. 2 guys standing outside the rope store, which is one of the placeholder buildings. It's foam core with plastic galvanized iron glued over the top of it. It's now been replaced by another structure. Figures painted by one of the build team, Jeff Potter. He does a magnificent job. These are 1/43 scale die cast figures. The Krause coming up to the landslide from the other side.